Hello guys, welcome to Josiah Agro TV. Today I just want to pick out 6 deadly diseases of goats in Nigeria and how to avoid them. That is what I am going to be discussing in this video. If you want to jot, you can pick your pen and paper and do that right now. Now I'm going to start from number 1. Number 1 is Peste, the petits, ruminants, which is called the PPR virus. This is the number 1 killer disease of goats in Nigeria, specifically northern Nigeria. So this is the number 1. It is called Peste, the petits, ruminants, which is popularly known as the PPR virus. It is caused by a virus called morbillivirus. This is the organism that is responsible for this disease. Now, some of the symptoms you're going to see when your goat is suffering from this PPR is high fever, watery eyes and nose, mouth sores, that is, there will be rashes in the mouth, diarrhea, coughing, and difficulties in breathing. These are the signs you're going to see in your goat when it contracts this virus. So, and it can be transmitted when your goat or an uninfected goat come in contact with an infected goat through coughing, sneezing, or discharge. When it comes in contact with an uninfected animal, if it sneezes, if it coughs, and an uninfected goat sniff or inhale it, automatically it will come down with PPR virus. Or probably it stool, pass out excreta, and that goat happened to probably sniff or it probably it defecates in a food, and that goat happened to consume some of the particles, it definitely will come down with the PPR virus. Now, how are you going to control it, or how are you going to prevent this? Prevention is by vaccination. You have to make sure that you vaccinate your goat against PPR virus, and also make sure that you maintain hygiene. Make sure that the goat pens are always very clean, because how are you going to know that if one of your goat contract this and it defecates and others happen to come in contact, or it sneeze and others happen to come in contact with it, definitely they will have it. But if you maintain personal hygiene, that's to say you're going to be sweeping their house and their droppings are not going to be eaten by another goat, then you can control a whole lot of disease in your farm. So make sure that you maintain hygiene in your goat pen. That is sanitation. Then number 2 is the contagious caprine pleuropneumonia. This one is a bacterial infection, and it is caused by a bacterium called Mycoplasma capricolum. That is the bacterium that is responsible for the contagious caprine pleuropneumonia. And the symptoms you're going to see is coughing, nasal discharge, heavy breathing, fever, and then sudden death. These are the clinical symptoms of this disease. And this disease is mostly common in hot, dry, and dusty area. That is to say, it is mostly common in the northern part of Nigeria, which is the Sahel region, which is a hot region. This disease is most common in the northern part of Nigeria. The number 3 is the Helminthiasis. Helminthiasis simply refers to worm infestation. That is, when your goats have worms in their stomach, it is referred to as Helminthiasis, and it can be caused by most intestinal parasites such as roundworm, stomach worm, and liver fluk. These are some of the organisms that can cause this Helminthiasis. What are some of the symptoms you're going to see when your animals have Helminthiasis? You're going to see weight loss, diarrhea, rough coat. That's the skin, the pores. The skins are going to be rough instead of being smooth. That's some of the things you're going to be seeing. And you're also going to be seeing pale eyes. You're going to also see bottle jaw. What is bottle jaw? Bottle jaw refers to the swelling of the neck you see that the goat neck will be swollen. That is one of the signs of Helminthiasis, and it can be prevented through regular deworming. Of course, you're going to know your deworming schedules. You're going to take your deworming schedules very seriously. So when you do your regular deworming, and then make sure that you give this goat good food and clean water. In fact, any water that you know that you cannot drink, you're not supposed to give it to your goat. Make sure you give your goat clean water for them to remain healthy. Number 4 is the foot and mouth disease, which is called the FMD. That's a foot and mouth disease, which is caused by a virus called aftovirus. It is caused by aftovirus, and the symptoms include fever, drooling, that is to say the goat will be coming out with, you see, saliva dropping out of the goat's mouth, that is drooling, blisters on the mouth and the feet, which gives the disease that name, foot and mouth. You're going to see blisters on the mouth of the goat, and you're going to see it on the foot as well, which will lead to the goat limping. You see that the goat will be limping, and you see sores in the legs and also in the mouth of that goat, and you see that that goat will not be able to eat properly because of those sores. So it won't be eating properly. It will lead to loss of appetite, which can drastically lead to that goat losing weight, and it will create way for opportunistic organisms to thrive, which can eventually lead to the death of your goats. So it's very contagious as well, especially in people that practice mixed farming. It is very contagious. Most people mistake most of these diseases for another. You might see a goat having a foot and mouth disease and you think it is PPR, or you might mistake it for another thing. That is the reason for this video, so that when you see some of these signs, some of these clinical signs, you just know that, okay, this is what my goat is suffering from, and you'll be able to know what to do. And the prevention of this foot and mouth disease is by vaccination. By vaccination, most viral disease can be prevented through vaccination, because most of them don't have any stated treatment. So you can only manage them and you can only prevent them. That is why they say prevention is better than cure. So make sure that you prevent them. And also, you have to restrict the movement of these animals so they don't move to where uninfected animals are, and also they don't stress too much to be moving around. And also make sure that biosecurity in your farm. Then number 5 is coccidiosis. Most people think that coccidiosis is only in birds, but coccidiosis can lead to high mortality in goat, specifically goat kids. So it is caused by a protozoa called Almeria, and the symptoms include bloody diarrhea, weakness, dehydration, and stunted growth in kids. That is the symptoms, and it is common mostly during the raining season. This coccidiosis can affect kids and can affect goats basically during the rainy season, but it doesn't mean that apart from the rainy season it doesn't affect. If you give your animals dirty water and you're not providing the adequate, your food is contaminated, their water is contaminated, of course they will come down with coccidiosis even during the dry season. Now the prevention is you have to keep pen dry, make sure that the feeders are clean. Then you have to use Coccidiostat. You have to use Coccidiostat in their feed and in their water. What is Coccidiostat? Coccidiostat is an additive used to control coccidiosis. It's an additive that is used to control coccidiosis. The number 6 is the Enterotoxemia. This Enterotoxemia is also called the puppy kidney disease. It is a bacteria, and it is caused by a bacterium called Coccidium perfringens. It is caused by Coccidium perfringens, type C and D. Transmission usually occurs when goats overeat grains or lushy pastures, causing bacteria in the gut to multiply rapidly. Yeah, it occurs when your goat overeat grains or rich pasture, protein rich pasture, which will cause the bacteria in the gut to multiply rapidly, and that is when you see your goat having a swollen stomach, as if it is pregnant but is actually not pregnant. If you allow your goats to be in this state, sometimes you just see that your goat will be walking and it will fall down, and that is the end of that goat. When too much of gas is trapped inside the stomach, you see that it will have what is called bloating, and bloating can lead to high mortality in goats. Now, the symptoms include sudden death, which is often the first sign. You see that your goat will be walking and it will fall down, and then that is the end of that goat. That's the end of that goat. And also, you see staggering in goat. You see your goat staggering, is unable to walk properly. Yeah, and also convulsion. You see that goat having convulsion. And then the last, you see that it will either you just see it moving and it will fall down, or it will have some of these signs, some of these symptoms that I just listed here. Then the prevention is regular vaccination was with Coccidia vaccine. Regular vaccination with Coccidia vaccine, that is Coccidia C and G. That is how to prevent it. And also avoid sudden change in feed. Avoid sudden change in feed. When you're bringing an animal, sometimes just make sure that you know what that goat is eating over there. For example, you're bringing a goat from the north to the south, or you're taking a goat from the north to the west. Just make sure that you get some of the feed they normally feed in the north. Get it, and when you get there, you feed them small. At least the first time they are there, don't completely change their feed like that. Probably give them what they were eating before, then you introduce the new feed like that. Before you know, you can now completely introduce the goat to a different feed, but not just bringing it today and boom, you're giving it a new feed. You just start introducing it to a new feed. That's not a good practice. So if this is your first time watching my video, if you find this video useful, please make sure you like this video, give this video a like, subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't done so, turn on your notification bell so that anytime I post videos, YouTube will notify you. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.